This is a 1948 CCM, and from my research is probably a Boy Scout model. The serial number is the best way to date these early CCM bikes. Serial numbers from 1921 to 1936 had a letter as the first digit, followed by usually 5 numbers. Whereas serial numbers from 1937 through 1948 had the letter as the second digit, as is the case with this bike. See the description for more detail on decoding early CCM bikes. The bike came to me as a package deal from an estate consolidation, where I agreed to take 4 bikes, including this one. I've always wanted to restore a pre-1950s vintage bike for a while, and when this bike came my way, I didn't hesitate taking all 4 bikes. I'm really not doing much in the way of a restoration, other than to repack all of the bearings with fresh grease. So the bike is just getting a good shine, and I'll keep as much of the original patina as possible. I like the original saddle that came with this bike, but decided to swap it out for a more modern Electra saddle, and will install the original saddle on one of the other bikes that came along with this one. And you might be saying, such sacrilege, John, but I decided the saddle warranted to be on this 1927 CCM 3-speed bike that didn't come with a saddle, which I'll restore on a future video. The rear hub is a CCM 37 coaster brake single-speed model, and I'm not finding much in the way of an overhaul procedure, but with an exploded view diagram, and having overhauled other coaster brake hubs in the past, this overhaul should be straightforward. When taking the hub apart, take lots of pictures showing each part being removed for reference later on when putting things back together. Once the parts have been disassembled, I found it easier to keep the left side parts and the right side parts separated. With all of the old grease removed and the parts inspected for wear, it's time to do some test putting things back together, without any grease, to get a good feel for how things go together. Once you are confident all of the parts are going together properly, it's time to grease up all of the parts with a quality high heat grease and do the final assembly. And I should mention, while I have things apart, I will replace a couple of broken spokes. So with things back together and the new spokes installed, it's time to true the wheel. I built this Roger Musson truing stand 5 or 6 years ago and have trued lots of wheels on it. It's very accurate, but takes a little bit of monkeying around to get the wheel properly centered. If you were thinking of getting into wheel building or looking for a cost-effective truing stand, check out Roger Musson's wheel building book. I'll leave a link in the description to Robert's book. The front wheel is interesting, as there's just a cup and cone nut and no lock nut. This was common on older wheels like this one, but makes it a little bit more difficult to get the bearing play just right, as you need to tighten the frame nuts just right without changing the bearing play. For truing the front wheel, I'm using my new Park Tool 4.3 truing stand, which is considered to be one of the most accurate and easiest to use truing stands out there. As I mentioned before, my rubber mussin stand has been serving me well for many years, and having finally saved up enough pennies, this Park Tool 4.3 truing stand takes truing wheels to a whole new level of wheel building enjoyment. Well, I have the frame polished up with the wheels back on and the Electra saddle installed. The Torrington 18 pedals are interesting, and it is known that Torrington manufactured needle bearings in and around the 30s and until the late 1950s made pedals like these. Not sure if these pedals are original to the bike, but I cleaned them up and left the patina intact. The chain had a fair bit of stretch, so I decided this nice old cruiser deserved a new chain. And with that, this bike is ready for another 77 years of Boy Scout adventures. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.